Hello again. Today I'm going to discuss another book by Colonel Cooper, and this may well be my favourite out of the many books he wrote. And it's To Ride, Shoot Straight, and Tell the Truth. The title comes from ancient Greece, where it was considered the education of a young man to be able to ride horses, shoot with the bow, and to speak the truth when in conversation with people and to be honest, basically. So it's a great title, and some of the material has been published elsewhere, as in the previous book I reviewed, Fireworks, but much of it is new, and it's split into several sections: the present, the pistolero, the rifleman, the hunter, and the past. Some of the chapters in the present, he talks about the combat mindset, for example. Now, this was a lecture that the Colonel used to give midway through his API 250 course, the famous gun sight American Pistol Institute handgun training course. And it was a well received lecture on the importance of mindset. And with his book, which we reviewed earlier, Principles of Personal Defense, he was one of the first really to talk about this and to highlight the importance. You know, as we always say, mindset's the basis of everything. Those of you who've trained with us on the seminars will know I use Lofty's Vital Pyramid, and everything rests on mindset. There's a chapter on bodyguarding, which is really based on his experience in Central and South America, where the bodyguards were really just people who followed you around with a weapon, really. And the colonel does note the deficiencies of that system, but really the highly trained close protection specialist is a different matter, in my opinion. He has stuff on tactics. He explains the whole basis of tactics, which is very simple, and then talks about tactical architecture, which he built. His residence at Gunside, the Sconce, was designed on this, the Vauban Star. And then he had the opportunity to fire the main gun in the American Abrams tank while he was over in Germany. And he talks all about that and the fantastic accuracy of this weapon and the ease of which it kind of takes it takes individual skill out of the equation. Then the pistolero talks about military pistols. Chapter on triggers, trigger control, very important stuff. In my opinion, it out of the two elements, sights and trigger, I think it's trigger that's the most important. Sights are rather forgiving, but the trigger action is the element of accuracy. The firing stroke, drawing from the holster and so on, talks about double actions, and there's a humorous chapter on the obsession with modifications of weapons, which he talks about the ultimate iron pistol. Then the rifleman. Now, the colonel was first and foremost a rifle shooter from his earliest days, and he really enjoyed rifle shooting, and he still had some of his first rifles, and he still shot them. He talks about positions, the CW sling, which he kind of resurrected and introduced and taught people to use, calibers. And he talks about the machine pistol. Now, he had an experience when he was training the close protection team for the president-elect of Guatemala. The man himself visited the range with his escort, who were carrying Thompsons, And anyway, there was a discussion about the relative merits of the pistol and the Thompson. So the colonel asked him to select the best of his guys, and with the Thompson, and he gave him and one of the guys from the pistol class the same problem, multiple target problem. And the pistol guy put a succession of double taps in, or control pairs, as the colonel would call it, into the targets, whereas the Thompson guy just sort of sprayed, and most of the shots went skyward. Again, this kind of thing coloured the colonel's view of things. You know, those of us who train with Hecker and Koch, you know, what you can do with an MP5 on a 3-inch circle on full auto, I think the colonel would have been delighted with. Although he did have a lot of personal experience with subguns as well when he was in clandestine services. The Hunter, he talks about Africa, the Okavango, where he delighted in shooting, lion and crocodile, various antelopes, talks about different types of antelopes, and firing a really big elephant gun, Crumpler he calls it. And then the past things, people he interviewed and so on, including a chap he had a talk with after a shoot in Switzerland, I believe, who had been a member of the Waffen-SS on the Eastern Front, had been captured and spent a long time in a Soviet prisoner of war camp, and then decided to escape because it was a hopeless situation. And he killed a guard and escaped, and made a tremendous trek to Moscow from the wilderness along a railway line, killing guards along the way and stealing their food. And he has no idea how many he killed, possibly 50, possibly 100, and eventually got back to Germany. And he talks about how cold it was. It was so cold that if you emptied a kettle of boiling water, it would form icicles before it hit the ground. So it was really a vivid description of suffering, stress, and the human spirit prevailing in the end. So all in all, it's a delightful piece of writing. As I say, it's one of my favourites from the colonel, and it's a treasured part of my library.